The fun part about this error is problem solving, and that the engineers all screwed up and basically should have had the technical installers here to review the drawings and see what happens. But bottom line is that the glass goes in this little channel between this, and that's why it's notched out on the floor. Everything had to be specifically perfect when I finished this. This was the biggest brain teaser I've ever had, between the trays and the stair, because I've designed this, yeah, of course, and managed installing it, but the stair people screwed up. They didn't count this bump out, which is from, we don't know why it's there. It's from the foundation and the garage. We're not sure. But they forgot to include this, so they ended up having to remake that second floor stringer, and then we had to build the platform wider. We couldn't push the stair rail over or move. When we get up there, you're going to see that we have the ceiling over the railing, and unfortunately it was because there's a caretaker's room up there in what's called a closet, but we added a window and we made it livable for her caretaker, and it just you're just like this, you just can't make this stuff up. It's like, okay, now let's just figure out how we can make it work and still be beautiful. So we had to cut a little bit wider, and we had to cut into this floor, and when we come up here we had to find almost as much as the post. It was 3.5 inches that I had to push forward and make it bigger. So this opening had to be bigger, and we spent one whole 6 hours trying to figure this out and not return this elevator, and that was Tuesday of this week. So problem solved. And now they had three pieces of glass that are technically coming in. We think, they say Wednesday, I'll bet it's Thursday, but at least we can get this started and finished and finally get our C of O. Our certificate of occupancy, C of O, has to have the final inspection from the engineer for the elevator, and it has to have the final electric, which we did and passed, and we have a few more things to satisfy, only about the exterior posts and a plate that attaches the post to the deck upstairs. And I think I had to pull a separate permit for the generator, and that's really not very much when you think about this large of a renovation, because it's in the 7 figures. And to have that little go wrong is very exciting. But let's take a look and go tour the rest of the house first. All right, so part 2, or the whole point of this renovation with the elevator, which I just am I can't wait to see it finished because it's just spectacular, is the light here. When I did an original tour of this home with the inspector, and I went up in the attic, which probably freaks people out when we pull that little thing down, I noticed that these other buildings all had these, you can see the skylights on the roofs, and I thought, and the neighbor has them, and I actually inspected her home before we started, and so I thought, and sure enough, there they were. This is all flat ceiling, and since we had to open up the ceiling anyway to fit this elevator, which was another fiasco, we had to do it twice because of both the engineer on the elevator side and then this stair moving. We had to cut that open again, and we actually notched it up there to be sure that this was high enough, and we had to move the air supply around. The air handlers are up in the attic up there, and they actually have the controller in the attic, and we had to run power lines and shut-off switches, and actually this has a landline phone in it, which is like a real phone, so it's not Wi-Fi. It's if you have an emergency and the elevator stops, you can call 911, which is such a relief. It's old technology, it's not wireless stuff. But the light, I always thought, was the whole point of this whole renovation for me, because it changes everything, as you can see. I love the simplicity of the structure. This is baked. I guess it's baked. It's not powder coated, this finish. It's just unbelievable. And I wanted to keep things open, and between the railing, as simple as I could to match the floor. But this light and the way we see the sun coming in now, because it's just about 12:30 our time and the sun's passing over, I knew this is on the north side of the apex of the roof line. It's on the north side, so you don't have this glaring direct light here. It's great, you know, ambient light, and the whole point of doing this was, to me, to have it feel as it's just lovely. You know, you have an open space, which is, some people love, some people don't, but to have the light come through and focus on this when we'll shoot it when the elevator is completely finished, it's just spectacular. And we had, you know, drama, of course. I added, when we turn around and come up here, I added that, to the left side is the master, to the right side are the bedrooms. And we, after they rebuilt this because of the 4-inch screw up downstairs, or the bump out wall, it's much nicer to have more room, I think, when you go upstairs. Before they were only 30 inches wide, this is 42. And unfortunately, you know, you can't help when people make mistakes. We just had to find solutions. And the one thing that we didn't like was that the railing height is right underneath her caretaker's room, and we couldn't make the caretaker's room smaller. We couldn't move it over because we have to have a day bed in it. But all in all, it's pretty exciting to be here at the point of almost being finished and still see the sun on a lovely day. It's just amazing.